open the floor for Joseph Rathinam, who is a director for the International Coordination and Networking for Neighborocracy. And he has spent 27 years promoting the concept of neighborhood parliaments and organizing people at neighborhood and village levels. So it's something that he can speak extensively about. Today, we have narrowed it in a bit to talk about the C, as you heard in ABCDEFG, for circularity and circles, giving some views on how can neighborhoods self-organize to solve local problems and create sources of income for those who have none. And for you that were in the last session, this is actually pertinent also to the cooperatives movement organizations that take place across the world. So maybe you want to cross-reference for those who were there, and or for those who listen later, you can pick up the recording, which will be distributed afterwards. Back to Joseph. What would housing look like if it were built around being good neighbors? Joseph, I have the honor to say the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to meet you all once again, almost after a year. And I'm honored by Lynn and Martin to be invited here to share my experiences on this. And I've been thinking about this term, what is to be a human? And it is disturbing me a lot past months. And I have done my own research on that, but of course, I am not going to talk about all these things now. I'll be talking about the neighborhood parliament and the circles and how they operate. Now, about 30 years back, I myself was a politician. I had started my own party, and some of you may be aware of that. Then finally, within 2 years, I realized that I'm in the wrong track. I cannot do anything with party politics. I said, I have to have something to do where every individual, even the smallest voice, has to be included and involved in day-to-day governance. So I said, we have to have people's politics. Then I studied a lot, I read a lot of experts like Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi and what they talk about all these things. And finally arrived at the parliament, the seat of governance cannot be in a place where people, ordinary people, have no access, but it has to be in the neighborhood where people live. So that's how the idea, the neighborhood parliament started, of course, with a team of people with whom we've been working. Then finally, we arrived at the conclusion that the parliament has to be established in every neighborhood of 30 families. And this 30 is kept as a number here for Indian context. But when we introduced this to Europeans some time back, they said, okay, 20 could be a comfortable number there. So the number is not, what is that? It's a negotiable principle. It's not a non-negotiable one, depending on the thing. So whichever the number, the 30 families come together and it is inclusive. Every member in this particular neighborhood have to be part of it, irrespective of whatever they are. And they're made into one unit. And there is a lot of process taking place, which make them come together and see eye to eye and celebrate together and, build that care for each other and all that. It will take some time. Once that is established, then that is established as a neighborhood parliament where they take charge of the governance. And each person will be elected as a minister in these 30 families. And ministers for various concerns, whatever the neighbors face. And in our context, in the Indian context, there are a lot of issues which has to be solved. Lots and lots. So everybody will be elected as a minister. And the election will be conducted on the sociocritical method, where minority and majority doesn't play there, only based on consent. and everyone's consent, a person is elected as a minister for that particular responsibility. The idea is that everyone has to be responsible for something or other. And we cannot have an idle member. Once we have an idle member, he is enough to create troubles. So everyone is responsible for some work or other. So the ministers will be like this. For example, we will have a prime minister for the team. Then we will have a home minister, that is parliamentary affair minister, to conduct the meeting, to write the minutes, to read the minutes and all that, who will do the secretary work. Then we have a finance minister, because every neighborhood parliament has to have its own finance. And then we have education minister, health and hygiene minister, a minister for eradication of corruption, alcoholism and drug use, environment minister, and minister for food and nutrition, water and sanitation, road and transport, marketing and distribution, electricity, housing and infrastructure, and children welfare, youth welfare, and gender equality, elders care, employment, industry, animal husbandry, agriculture, and all that. All that which is connected to the neighborhood. So all will be elected as minister, and they conduct the meeting once in a week, a regular meeting, very systematic. For each meeting, there will be a person elected as a speaker for the meeting, and each will have a chance to conduct the meeting this way. And they spend the time to study the possibility, the issues, what they have in common, and they discuss about it. Each minister takes a survey in the neighborhood on issues connected to that ministry, and they bring all these issues to the meeting, and they choose which issue has to be dealt on that meeting, and they discuss, and they make a decision, and they prepare an action plan, pass a resolution and prepare an action plan, and they implement the action plan. And they evaluate and monitor and evaluate the implemented programs, so that it is kept on track. So this is how they operate. And for small general informations, these neighborhood parliaments will be federated at the higher level of, say, about village level. In Indian context, we have neighborhood level, then village level, then block level, then they will be federated at the district level, then of course state level and national level, then regional level and global level. So we want this neighborhood parliament to be federated at the global level also, so that we will have a global parliament starting from the neighborhood. So that's the idea. And there'll be also horizontal federation. When I say horizontal federation, in each neighborhood, there will be 3 units of governance. One for the children as children parliament, and they also will have the same ministries within their limit. Children between 6 to 15 will be formed as children parliament. Then from youth from 16 to 24 will be formed as youth parliament, and above 25 there will be adult parliament. These 3 parliaments will be interlinked by double linking, so that there won't be any conflict of interest or conflict of decisions. So that's how they operate. And in this system of governance, even a 6-year-old child will have a space to actively participate or share the opinion or experience or participate in the governance. And how they do it, it's quite interesting, because we have lots of thousands and thousands of success stories, how these neighborhood parliaments can eradicate very, very, very serious problems what the world is talking about. And we have SDGs, and we have ministers for all the SDGs. And through this method, we have proved to the world that neighborhood parliaments can successfully address all the issues mentioned in the SDGs. And for example, poverty eradication. Poverty is a subject which the whole humanity talks about for generations together. And every country is worried about it. Even the developed country, there is poverty on a different level. So they are worried about it. And even this in the election, this thing in America, they were talking a lot about all these things. So I will come to that later if there is time. So how this neighborhood parliament addresses this, like environmental issue, poverty eradication, or addressing terrorism, addressing corruption issues and all that. Now I will talk about the poverty. How poverty is eradicated through this system. This neighborhood parliament of 30 people, there is a finance minister. He goes around in the neighborhood, and according to the parameters set by the parliament, he identifies the least income generating families, or the families who are very, very poor, according to the parameter which was set. So what happens is, he shares this in the group. And these poor, identified poor families are also in the group. They are also in the parliament. So they identify and say, okay, this family, this family, this family, these 4, 5 families are poor, according to the parameters set by us. Now, what they do? They say, they discuss about it, how we can go about it. Finally, they arrive at certain decisions. Like, they say, okay, we are buying milk. Where do we buy this milk from? From the market. Now, they decide, we will not buy the milk and milk products from the market, but we will buy from poor family number 1. So the poor family number 1's role is to supply milk and milk products to all these 30 families. And if the family decides to rear cows, then the whole group stands as a guarantee to the bank to take a bank loan for this family to buy 4 or 5 cows, so that they can take care of these cows and supply milk and milk products. And by supplying milk and milk products to these 30 families, in our context, we have worked out about approximately 12 to 15,000 per month they generate extra income than what they were having earlier. So having 15,000 rupees as extra income in India, that family cannot be considered any more poor. They can manage financially well for their basic needs. So the second family will be given the responsibility of supplying groceries to all the 30 families. And all these 30 families pass a resolution and signatory to the resolution that they will not buy grocery outside. They will buy only from the designated person, the family. So that family also will be supported for the financial help by the bank guarantees and all, so that they can supply groceries to all these 30 families. Similarly, for the third family, like they'll be responsible to supply vegetables and fruits, any other farm products. And the next one will be responsible to supply meat, eggs, and fish and all that. So there is a set market of 30 families. And these 30 families do not buy all these things from anywhere else, but only from these poor families within the group. So this way, they support the families and their income is increased so that they come out of poverty. Now, I am just giving it very briefly for an idea because we have a very limited time of 10 minutes. And similarly, for example, corruption. If everyone decides not to take bribe and give bribe, it is eradicated because it starts with the individual. If I decide I will never give bribe, come what may, I will not give. And if I am a government officer or officer working somewhere, and if I decide not to take bribe, by all means, I will not take. So these opportunities created in the neighborhood parliament, they elaborately discuss about all these things, then they pass a resolution and they stand by resolution. They are very honest to the resolution what they pass. So corruption can be eradicated. And terrorism, the worst form of thing today, the whole world fears. Who is a terrorist? A terrorist always is a faceless person.
Mm.
And in this system where everyone is organized in the neighborhood, a faceless person cannot exist. That person will be compulsorily has to be part of any neighborhood parliament. If when they shift to the residence, a person coming from somewhere else to this neighborhood, he will have to carry the credentials from the earlier neighborhood, saying that this person was this minister in our neighborhood and he had contributed so much to our growth, and now we wish him all, and he is an asset to your parliament, So a faceless person cannot exist here. So even if there is a person who has some issues which has to be dealt with, the whole community comes together to address his issues. Once his issues, personal family issues are addressed, then he need not get into this type of acts of terrorism.